The futurist Alvin Toffler argued, you've got to think about big things while you're doing the small things so that all the small things go in the right direction. One of the biggest challenges that professional downhill and enduro racers have is the right focus. They not only need to keep their vision focused far enough down the trail, they need to stay focused on their race plan and their goals to simply make it down the race course safely. Experience has shown that you will go where you look. So if you are focused on every route or rock or obstacle that is in your path, you will hit those routes, rocks, and obstacles that will either slow you down or cause you to crash. The key is to look far enough ahead and trust your field of vision and your training to get you over what is directly in front of you while you continue to look down the trail. The visual focus is dependent upon your mental and cognitive focus, which research shows is equally important as a visual focus. Without this primary cognitive focus, the physical focus just doesn't happen. Having the right focus is equally important in our learning environments and educational systems. With the right focus, we can make the necessary adjustments to our learning, which can not only help us prepare for the test, but also help us prepare for life. As a student, you're not going to be able to change the current system you are in, but by understanding how the system works, you can make adjustments to your focus that will enable you to not only prepare for the test, but also prepare for life. Our current approach to education is still based on the centuries-old information transfer model. We start with the curriculum that needs to be delivered or what standards need to be met. You may be more familiar with the term content than curriculum, so you can exchange these terms as we go along. The reason that I have overlapped curriculum and standard is that some organizations will start with the curriculum and others will start with the standards and then map those standards back to the curriculum. Others will search out curriculum that has the standards built in. Regardless, the initial focus is on the content and standards. The focus then shifts to knowledge and skills that need to be transferred to or acquired by the learner. What will the learner need to know, or what skill will they need by the end of a period of instruction, is a primary focus. We also have a tendency to focus on these components individually. When we do look for context, we simply look back to the governmental standards and the approved curriculum. Because the current system is primarily focused on what the learner will need to know, we then consider how best to deliver the curriculum or content or information to that learner. We validate or confirm the successful delivery of the curriculum through standardized testing or other forms of information regurgitation and confirmation. Variations of this model play out all across North America and the rest of the world. Test scores and grades determine where a learner will continue along this process. Unfortunately, the authentic context for learning, which is so important for deeper learning, is all too often reduced to the notion that this information or skill will be needed for the next course or in higher grades or to get into higher levels of education. Good students quickly learn how the system works and see grades as their primary focus and also their primary motivation. Good students also have learned to give the instructor what they want in order to continue getting the grades that will get them the credential or degree that will get them some sort of a job or get them closer to the future that they desire. Variations of this model run all across North America, and this has contributed to making our society one of the most prosperous in the history of the world. There are many good things about where we are now and also many things that we need to improve. This model was established back at the turn of the 20th century, and it brought us from the industrial age to the information age. As we move further into the 21st century and further into the digital information age, we suggest that we need to change our focus in order to prepare for the opportunities of the digital information age. We believe that all the pieces are already in place. We also argue that we need good curriculum and content. High standards are also important, and learners must be able to synthesize the knowledge and skills that will enable them to be positive members of society. So, if you want to prepare for the real world, you need to shift your focus by stepping back far enough from just focusing on the individual pieces of this model and looking far enough ahead and looking to the real world or authentic learning scenarios to provide the context you need for learning. When you look to the real world or authentic learning opportunities, you can not only see what knowledge and skills are actually required, you can also see that teaching and learning are not just a matter of delivery and regurgitation of content. If you really want to be successful, you need to grow and develop into the type of person who can take advantage of all the opportunities that arise and also deal with all the challenges that you will inevitably face. This is a shift in focus from what you need to know to pass a test to who you wish to become or what real-world challenge you are striving to solve. With this shift in focus, you can begin to recognize that authentic learning opportunities are the genuine context for learning and for gaining experience in solving real-world challenges. Your growth is related to these challenges, and the knowledge and skills, standards, and curriculum are simply the resources in the foreground you can draw upon to develop innovative solutions to real-world problems. In an ideal educational setting, the process of backward design would be the way that we could create this type of a context. When you design curriculum, programs, courses, and lessons starting with a real-world authentic learning opportunity context, you are genuinely looking at who your learners want to be. And from this context, you can identify the learning goals or outcomes that will get them to realize this potential. We argue that by focusing on creating a significant learning environment in which learners are given choice, ownership, and voice through authentic learning opportunities, we can continue to change and improve the world one learner at a time. The CSLE plus COVA helps us to not only focus far enough ahead to the most effective learning context, it can also help us to sustain our focus as we work to realize just what is involved in getting our learners choice, ownership, and voice. If you are fortunate enough to be in this type of a constructivist learning environment, then we encourage you to embrace the real-world projects that will help you create the context for the information, knowledge, and skills you may be tested on. If you don't have this type of learning environment, then we encourage you to choose to take ownership of your learning by seeking out the authentic learning opportunities that will give you the context to answer questions like when, where, and how will this information, skill, or process be used. Real-world learning opportunities provide the context for why, how, and where you will use this information, skill, or process, and this is key to helping you make those meaningful connections.